Metz Ti Bryan, my girl.
Hi.
Hey, you the last ocean,
Oh my
ocean 15.
God.
Finally,
I'm
we meet
excited.
you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
When did you get here?
So I got here 2 days ago
Okay,
at night,
mm-hmm.
Monday night, after like a 20-hour journey from
From
London.
London.
But it was really exciting because you get to see Vegas at night, and I've never seen it at night, when you
Yeah.
arrive. It's really cool. So I'm feeling the vibe.
Yeah, I think like London International Awards is doing an amazing job. The
Thank
party, the gatherings, like yesterday
Yeah.
at the Neon Museum, it was like one of hell like
Yeah.
of a trip.
It was so
honestly.
cool there.
It was
Oh my
cool.
God, I felt such a good vibe.
And that's great. Look, we believe that everybody's an ocean. You are the last ocean, ocean 15. I'm gonna cross your ocean with the 7 question, like the 7 C's. Please make it like whatever you wanna make it.
Okay, we're in for like
Please make it genuine.
a nice smooth sail.
First question. There is a saying that goes, as the ocean is never full of water, so is the heart never full of love. This means that your heart can always accept more love and the ocean can always accept more water. Think about other industry. What do you think is missing? What do you think like our industry could all like accept a little bit more?
Well, I feel like we do have a bit of fun in our industry, but sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget to have fun. And I think we need more fun because it's such a privilege to do what we do.
We take ourselves very seriously.
So seriously. And it's
Yeah.
really quite interesting because when you're in it, it's so serious,
It's the
a
trouble.
sprinkle of fun.
Yeah.
But when you're out of it, people don't understand why.
Yeah.
Why is it so intense all the
Right.
time? And I think it's intense because we're passionate about it, but I think
Right.
we always should remember to have the fun. Not only like how we work, but also in the work we make. And of course, some ads are really fun. And I think maybe I'm biased because those are the
Yeah.
things. I love the ads that are fun, the ones I remember when I
Right.
was a kid. But sometimes, yeah, we do take a little too seriously. We do forget who we're talking to sometimes.
I totally agree.
So I feel like let's just remember to have fun.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with the word fun. I mean, it's like, it's so paramount. I think also it's difficult to create fun during the pandemic where like, it's like, I mean, beyond like Zoom, it's not really fun. It can never be fun. Maybe someone crack a joke, but it's like, I don't remember like someone like get off their meeting, say, "Wow, that was fun."
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, not happening, man. Like, so I think we should like create, like, bring a little bit more fun. Like, hopefully we can do it. Like, as like
Yeah.
this pandemic like evolve and eventually like we can go back like not to the way it was because I think like nobody want to go back to the office
No.
5 times a day 5 times a week
Yeah.
5 times a day would
Yeah,
never
some of us
happen.
did do that too.
But it's like definitely fun is an important word. Thank you. By measuring the amount of remaining radiocarbon in ocean water of different depth and in different places around the world, we know that the deep Pacific holds the ocean oldest waters, which have been out of contact with the atmosphere for about 1,000 years before they mix to the surface again. Bridging the aging concept to our industry, how do you as a head of production determine what's old and what's new?
That's a great question. I feel like it's all about trends.
Right.
And it's not just in advertising, but it's in culture, it's in fashion,
Right.
it's in humor. What's old and what's new. And I feel like the old can be, everything's always recycled as well.
Right.
So maybe I won't say old and new, and I
Right.
might say what feels fresh right now, what feels trendy, what feels like a little tired.
Yes.
And I feel like you have to use your judgment for
Right.
that. And when you don't want to like flog a dead horse, you know what I
Right.
mean? So for me, it's a feeling, it's
Right.
understanding really what's going on in your environment, what's going on in your
Yeah.
surroundings. And do you feel like it's original or are you adding something different? Are you
Right.
putting a little sprinkle
It's
of
one of the
something?
mystery in society, honestly. Like you come from London, I mean, like, and I was raised like in a little village near Rome. So first time I was in London, I think I was 13 years old. But for us, London was always the place where all the cultural trends were coming from, right? London deploy all the cultural trends for Europe, and
Yeah.
then they trickle down.
Yeah.
And like fashion, like art, everything. And but I think like you can see sometimes it's quite interesting to see how these trend recycles, right? I don't remember what happened. Like a couple weeks. Oh yeah. It was my wife was packing for Vegas, and then she was like, wearing a pair of pants, and then she was like, hey, I don't have the shoes for these pants because now trend have changed, so I have different shoes. Right now it's all about sneakers. Before, like she was wearing like old same boots, right?
Yeah.
Like those same boots, like leather one. Now it seems like she completely changed. Now it seems like fashion-wise, we are back to the 80s.
Yeah, I find it's like the 80s and definitely
The high
the
waist
90s
jeans.
as well. Yeah,
The
like we're in
90s
this
are gone.
weird thing where
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of, judging all this
Right.
week, and some of these trends and music and
Right.
style, I'm like, we're going to
Yeah,
1993.
it's
We're going to the rave again.
It's
It's
like-
like, it's crazy.
It's the Devil Wear Prada scene where like Meryl Streep say like, the girl is like, what does he care? Just a cerulean shirt. And she start like this monologue
Yeah.
says like, look, there is someone actually behind that shirt that made a decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think about who is that person, that look up one morning and say, that's it, guy. No more like low waist jeans.
Yeah.
Come on, from now on, everything like high waist.
When they, what was it, the skinny jean, when that went out, I remember
You
it was
remember?
like online,
Yes.
it was like TikTok, and all the young people were like, oh, knock, knock, by the way, millennials, it's over now.
Yeah.
So they pretty much told us.
See, on that note, I try to be as consistent as possible. I go with the pirate look, like since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that's it, man.
I feel like certain people, they have a style, and it's their classic style. And I always
Yeah.
notice that all the best designers, they don't
They
change
don't
their
change.
style.
It's true, they don't.
So you have to think
That's a good
about
observation.
what is your style. And I think if you know who you are and what you want to express,
Right.
you might be influenced a little bit by that trend and
Yeah.
have a little fun with it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're not going to be completely influenced by what's
Yeah.
going on.
What's your style?
I mean, that's a great question. It's like my feeling. You know what I
Your
mean?
feeling
But
is your style?
It usually is quite sporty,
Sporty.
fun, and a little fabulous, I would
Sporty,
say.
fun, and fabulous.
Sporty, fun, fabulous.
Okay, I can buy that. I love it. Okay. Third question. Bridgewater is a short science fiction story by Stephen King published in The Weird Tale in 1984. It is set at a specific time in the distant future. Among the few clues to the date is the passing reference that the last of the Beach Boys had died 8,000 years previously. The story recounts the catastrophic crash landing of a spacecraft on an uncharted planet made entirely of sand and no ocean. And during one of the public readings of the novel, someone asked Mr. King, "Why do you choose to write such a gruesome story?" And he says something like very interesting. Say, "Why do you assume that I have a choice?" Now, do you believe in fate tapping on your shoulder, or every choice you made in your career was deliberately planned?
That really has opened my mind
Right.
into how do I describe how it's happened for me. And I feel like it's actually a both. So I do believe in an element of fate. So
Right.
when you're open to that belief,
But you had to be open.
when you're open to it,
Right.
it finds you. So
Finds you.
when you are open to fate,
Mm-hmm.
then it will find you because you are open to receiving it.
Right.
So obviously you have dreams and you want to do things,
Right.
but sometimes you get these little moments of opportunity. But if you're not,
Right.
if you're not paying attention, it could pass you by.
So what was the last piece of destiny that found you?
I feel like my whole life has been destiny.
Someone has been following you the whole life.
I think one of the
When
biggest.
was the last time you were found?
I feel like the opportunity. Actually, no. I was found just last week. Yeah, it was just last week because I've always had this idea that I'm gonna do something. I'm not gonna give it all away what it is, but I was feeling I'm probably gonna end up doing a bit of that, and I don't really want to do that. I feel
Right.
like it's just a feeling. So that's fate kind of tapping me on the shoulder
Right.
saying, I know you're not really a big fan of this, and it's going to be a lot of work, and it's kind of probably going to be a little stressful, but you're probably going to do that. So just keep that in mind. And I had an opportunity to do that thing. Someone called me and said, here's an opportunity to do this thing. And
now you're
do you
doing
want to
it.
do it? And I said, oh my God, I could say no. I could say, oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm not in the mood. And there's going to be a lot of work. But I know because I've had that feeling of fate saying, you have to take that. even if you don't want to. I don't know what will turn into, but those are the opportunities that have kind of presented themselves, and you have to push yourself and you do it, and then it just opens the door to the next
I hope
thing.
it's going to turn into something really good.
Yeah, me too. I just feel
Right.
like, it's that feeling of, I just got to do it. It's just,
Otherwise, you need to call back fate and say, what the fuck did you tap on my shoulder for?
but fate always knows what it's doing. It hasn't strayed me in the wrong direction yet.
Nobel Prize GM Coetzee holds dual citizenship, Australian and South African. He embodied the transatlantic spirit, having crossed the ocean multiple times through his life in different culture. Coetzee moved to the United Kingdom in 1962 and worked as a computer programmer for IBM in London. His experience in England were later recounted in Youth, 2002. It was one of his books. His second volume of fictionalized memory. In this volume, there are quotes from him, and it seems that this quote really penetrated my brain somehow, and it stuck with me. There seemed nothing to do but live. This is the quote. There seemed nothing to do but live. How do you recount your beginning, in the advertising field, and did you find it hard to focus on where you were at that time, so being the moments where you always straight arrows, or literally you lost your way, then you found your way? Because I lost my way, I found my way. I pieced 10 years of my career just like that.
Really?
Boom. I wouldn't say I pieced 10 years of my career, but I was never a straight arrow.
Yeah.
I was more, one of those balloons that you blow in air and then you try to let the air out, and they get crazy and they go in the sky. That's my career.
Yeah. Well, I think mine's a little bit different. I feel like coming into advertising is always very exclusive. And I started my career in Canada, and it was exclusive there. And in London, it's still exclusive. So someone like me who didn't have usually, coming from more affluent background, right. They had connections,
Of course.
I didn't have that. So I had to find I call it the side door.
Yeah.
So when I found the side door, which is actually worked more on the supplier side, and I worked in print production, and so the agency was my client. So I got in the door that way by finding that connection direct with the agency. And so once I got in, I was so excited. I was like, I just need to stay here. So I finally got my foot in the door. I was invited to the party. I just need to stay at the party. I want them to not kick me out of this party. So I've worked in a lot of different roles in advertising, from print production, art buying, creative producing, project management, project direction, and then now back to production or in operations as well. So I've kind of done the whole round of it.
Yeah.
And I feel to me, it feels maybe not a straight line, but kind of a winding,
a winding
road to somewhere good. Always going to a next positive step.
But you never found a end of the road.
No, and I feel because I had a vision of wanting to stay and learn. I wasn't so picky about the title. I was more about the experience. So that led me to be really open with having all these different roles and all of these different titles. So I guess the focus was there, as in I really wanted to learn, and I wanted to get to know everybody and find out that part of the business and that part of the business. So that was the focus, but it wasn't laser focused. It's just a daily decision of learning.
Up to a quarter of fish in fish forms have stunted growth and float lifelessly at the surface of the tanks. These fish are known as dropouts. I didn't know that, actually. They are dropouts.
That's quite sad, actually.
It is sad.
Yeah.
Do you know that there are fish that suffer from depression?
That makes me so sad.
And they are called dropouts. According to research by Royal Society Open Science, these fish exhibit behaviors and brain chemistry almost identical to those of very depressed people. As a matter of fact, fish are capable of complex behavior, and the brain system has a lot of similarity with that of mammals, including humans. This is something I learned while researching for a short story that I was writing. I read in your bio that you are a strong believer of empathy and emotional intelligence. What's the single most important discovery you made in this like field?
Well, there's one thing that really springs to mind that it just blows my mind all the time, and it's something that you need to practice every day, or as I need to practice, that I think we should all practice. But it's, you know, when you are yourself, you know who you are, and you experience things how you experience things. So when you witness something or hear something, you feel like you know what happened. And you do know what happened for you.
Right.
But I feel like we do have a tendency to assume that if I was there, I know what happened, and I know the answer.
Right.
But if you're sitting there, you can see something a little bit different that I can't see.
Different perspective.
Different perspective, different context. You might feel it in a different way. And I think that we all have to be quite mindful of having absolutes and making absolute decisions in certain situations, because we might not always know everything. There might always be a blind spot. And so when you're working with other people, having that realization and coming to the table with that humility might open up a conversation, and it might help you see something from a new perspective.
So let me use this question as a trampoline to another question about fish. Do you know about rumblefish?
I've heard of rumblefish, but I forget
Rumblefish
what they do.
is a movie.
Oh, what?
Oh, I tell you what. But in the movie, they explain what rumblefish are. Rumblefish are those kind of fish that they fight their own reflection. They have certain kind of character, an attitude, an instinct that when they see themselves reflected on the glass of the tank, they start getting crazy. They think there is another fish attacking them, where it's the only reflection. I found this like fact fascinating. Are you a rumblefish? Have you ever like fight your own reflection? Have you found yourself that you were trying to find yourself struggling with yourself to accomplish something?
I feel like...
let's put it in more human term. Have you ever been your worst enemy?
I feel, you know what, I don't know if I would say I'm my worst enemy, because I don't think I'm my worst enemy. But there are those moments when you can give yourself a bit more of a push instead of a doubt.
But you never fought with yourself?
No, I would say that I have not fought with myself. I mean, back in the day, when I was a young teenager, I think I was probably fighting myself every day of the week.
So you were?
Yeah, I mean, I was a mess. Like, I don't want to go back there. But over time, you kind of evolve a little bit, hopefully, and you push yourself and accomplish things, and then you start changing your narrative about yourself. So, you know, it can creep back in a little bit, those moments of doubt. But I feel like at the end of the day, if you are fighting yourself, then you are not doing yourself a favor, because the world isn't there to fight you anyway. So you might as well be your own ally. You know?
That's a good advice. Listen, William Shakespeare set his final play surrounded by the ocean. It's titled The Tempest, which denotes sea storm, and then ironically created his most tranquil atmosphere controlled by the Magus Prospero. If you were to write a final play in the advertising industry, or maybe you are the head of production of this play, where would you set the stage? This is the final play for the advertising industry. You have to set the stage. You, the head of production, where are you going to set the stage? Are you going to set it like near the ocean? Are you going to set it like in the middle of the desert? We got the Mojave Desert here, like, you know. We got Anza Borrego, like very close, like, you know. Or would you go like up on a mountain?
Do you know what? I feel like it'd be in the desert, quite barren.
Right.
I feel like it might be a bit of a dystopian tale.
Right.
Because
like kind of Mad Max?
A little bit Mad Max.
Right.
So say there was the end of advertising, because everyone rebelled on being tired of being advertised to. And so we got rid of all the advertising because everyone thinks that's what they want. But what if actually it becomes a dystopian tale because you realize that without it, maybe there's some blind spots or things that people were relying on to make decisions or to do things, but they didn't even know, right? what would happen? Maybe it's dystopian. Maybe it's utopian.
I just can't go. I just can't get my mind out of this. Like, you know, the last day on earth of advertising. Like, you know, I
There's
kind of
no
like
ads
feel
anymore.
like, to me, it's kind of like Burning Man set up, and then like you see on the rides on someone like coming like with a bicycle, like very slow, and then like with small boy get bigger, bigger, then get in front of you, and he say, "One last minute, guy, before we leave. One last meeting."
No.
Anyway, look, it's been awesome. But let me ask you the last question. This is a Leah question. You've been here enough to form some memory. You're gonna fly back to London. You're gonna pick up 2 memories for me. Put it one on your carry-on and one in your luggage. Which one goes where and why?
Well, last night we were talking about the Neon Museum.
Yeah.
And they had a really cool installation moment. It was music, like the old jazz, Vegas.
The glitter, right?
Yes,
The
and I
glitter.
love that music.
That was beautiful.
It had the lights, all of the vintage signs, and then the
Yeah.
technology of bringing them to life
Yeah.
and having that mix of all of the atmosphere. And then you look up and the moon was shining and there were stars. And you know, in those moments where you feel like all your senses are really like engaged and you just think,
Yeah.
this feels great. And I just love feeling all this art and culture and, you know, something about being here, you know. I can only get that here. And there's a bit of inspiration as well.
Right.
So I feel like that, you know, feeling of goodness and inspiration, bottle it up, and I'll keep that one in the carry-on.
Right.
Because we always need a little
You
bit
don't
of
want to
that.
lose it also.
I don't
It's
want to
most
lose
precious.
it. Yeah, and those feelings that just
Yeah.
like helps you carry through the
Right.
day, you know, especially in the low moments when you're like, I've seen it
What
all.
you put in your luggage?
In my luggage, well, I feel like it's been great hanging out with my jury. And we're getting to know each other and having a lot of good laughs and lulls. And it's great because everyone's from all over the world.
Right.
And I would love to put that in my luggage and have them so when I get back
What
home.
about if they get lost? If the luggage get lost? Because that was the point of the...
Oh, is that the point?
The
No,
point
I'm
was
just
like-
no, don't get
The point
lost.
was like you get the most precious things like in your carry-on, and the memory that you are willing, unfortunately, to lose
Oh, okay, I
goes
changed
your
my
luggage.
answer. It's probably going to be that hangover I'm going to have on Saturday morning after
Oh,
we
okay.
go out big time. That one can get lost.
Okay, look, it was awesome to cross the ocean, and it was awesome to be part of this amazing experience, London International Awards. I mean, there is so many people to thank, like, you know, Barbara, Patricia,
amazing.
Larissa, my amazing brother here, Joey, just, like, stay with me, like, you know, and, like, literally film, like, all the 15 episodes. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
It's been a
for your
blast.
time.
Thank you.
Travel safe.
You too.
Bye.